How to succeed in MrBeast Production. Hi, I'm Jimmy, MrBeast, and as the team is growing larger, I no longer get to spend as much time with everyone as I used to. The first dozen employees had unfiltered and unlimited access to me to learn as much as they could about my vision and what I wanted. Sadly, you don't have that luxury, so I thought it would be useful to try to brain dump as much as I can into this silly little book to give new people to help bring them up to speed on everything we've learned over the past decade with this channel. We've been through a lot, and chances are most of the problems you face we've dealt with. So I genuinely believe if you attentively read and understand the knowledge here, you will be much better set up for success. So if you read this book and pass a quiz, I'll give you $1,000. Sorry in advance for all the run-on sentences and grammar issues. I'm a YouTuber, not an author. This is not a rule book. I need to kick this thing off by saying the purpose of this is not to give you a bunch of rules to follow. On top of that, I want nothing in here to be taken literally. What we do is complex and changes based on the situation. I need you to repeat this in your head 3 times. I will apply everything I read with a grain of salt. I will apply everything I read with a grain of salt. I will apply everything I read with a grain of salt. This is not an inclusive list of everything. I hope this inspires you with questions and to come to us to learn more. Prelude ik what this means. I could make a separate book for creative, a separate book for production, a separate book for editors, etc. But I think that'd be dumb. Everything we do here is interconnected, and the more you understand about what others are doing and trying to accomplish, the better set up for success you will be. So this will be information about all parts of MrBeast Productions, and I advise everyone to read it in its entirety. A good example of this is James Warren. He understands every single part of this company at a deep level, and as a result can make decisions faster than anyone else. The stuff you will be reading about he knows like the back of his hand. I've seen a team of 5 people work on a project for a week just to give up, and James solved it in 30 minutes. I say this not to flex for him, but to show the power that comes when you understand everything in this book deeply. The more you know about why we do things and what we are trying to accomplish, the better off you will be. So let's start off with some basic stuff. What is your goal here? Your goal here is to make the best YouTube videos possible. That's the #1 goal of this production company. It's not to make the best produced videos, not to make the funniest videos, not to make the best looking videos, not the highest quality videos. It's to make the best YouTube videos possible. Everything we want will come if we strive for that. Sounds obvious, but after 6 months in the weeds, a lot of people tend to forget what we are actually trying to achieve here. I don't care how traditional media does things. Pardon the bluntness, but this is not Hollywood, and I do not want to be Hollywood. And if that sentence is a turnoff to you, then you're probably at the wrong job. I genuinely mean that. YouTube is the future, and I believe with every fiber of my body, it's going to keep growing year over year. In 5 years, YouTube will be bigger than anyone will have ever imagined, and I want this channel to be at the top, which is why I say we are not Hollywood. 99% of movies or TV shows would flop on YouTube. On top of that, they'd be wildly unprofitable, have no flexibility, and long lead times that can't adapt to trends. We aren't here to make a small movie once or twice a year. I want to make 1 a week. LLL. This is why you need to be nimble and produce content our way, not the way you were taught before. If you want the highest probability of success, I beg you to learn why we do what we do at a deep level before you try to fix anything. We've done countless videos and invested hundreds of thousands of hours collectively building how we do things. I know it's not perfect, but we have a reason for how we do most stuff, and it's probably a decent one. The amount of hours you work is irrelevant. Before you get mad, recall the story about James solving a problem in 30 minutes that a team of 5 couldn't solve in a week. In that example, does it really matter how many hours they worked? Obviously, we want grinders who put in the hours, and we love you guys to death that do. But at the end of the day, you will be judged on results, not hours. We are a results-based company. Get shit done and move the goalpost. I only want A players. As I type this, I realize it may not be the wisest to categorize everyone into 3 buckets, but this is how I believe we should look at everyone as part of the production team. You're either a player, B player, or C player. There is only room in this company for A players. A players are obsessive, learn from mistakes, are coachable, intelligent, don't make excuses, believe in YouTube, see the value of this company, and are the best in the goddamn world at their job. B players are new people that need to be trained into A players, and C players are just average employees. They don't suck, but they aren't exceptional at what they do. They just exist, do whatever, and get a paycheck. They aren't obsessive and learning. C players are poisonous and should be transitioned to a different company immediately. It's okay, we give everyone severance, they'll be fine. Chapter 1, what makes a YouTube video viral? I spent basically 5 years of my life locked in a room studying virality on YouTube. Some days, me and some other nerds would spend 20 hours straight studying the most minor thing, like whether there's a correlation between better lighting at the start of the video and less viewer drop-off there is, have good lighting at the start of the video, or other tiny things like that. The result of those probably 20,000 to 30,000 hours of studying is that I'd say I have a good grasp on what makes YouTube videos do well. The 3 metrics you guys need to care about are click-through rate, TRA, average view duration, AVD, and average view percentage, AVP. Make sure you know those abbreviations because that's how most people will refer to them. Up first, we'll talk about Contractor. This is important no matter what department you work in. Track is basically how many people see our thumbnail and their feeds divided by how many click it. If 100 million people see our thumbnail and 10 million click on it, that means 10% clicked and we have a 10% track. This is what dictates what we do for videos. I spent 50 hours in my front yard is lame and you wouldn't click it. But you would hypothetically click I spent 50 hours in ketchup. Both are relatively similar in time effort, but the ketchup one is easily 100x more viral. An image of someone sitting in ketchup in a bathtub is exponentially more interesting than someone sitting in their front yard. Titles are equally as important for getting someone to click. A simple way to up that track even more would be to title it I survived instead of I spent. That would add more intrigue and make it feel more extreme. In general, the more extreme, the better. I don't like bananas won't perform the same as bananas are the worst food on earth. Now, if you're in production or creative, you might be wondering, why does the title and thumbnail matter to me? Expectations are why. The title and thumbnail on the videos you will be producing set the expectations for the viewer for your video. Imagine you clicked on a video titled World's Largest Bouncy Castle and the thumbnail had a giant yellow bouncy castle beside a bunch of huge buildings. Then, when the video plays, it's not a yellow bouncy castle, it's red. It's also not the world's largest. It's also in a field with no buildings like the thumbnail. You'd feel like you were lied to and click off because the video did not meet the expectations of the title thumbnail. This is why you must know the title and thumbnails of the videos you are making. How can you know how to start your video if you don't even know what expectations the viewers have of you? Now, let's jump over to the second metric that matters, ABD. This is how long, on average, people watch a given video. The cool thing about YouTube is they give us super detailed graphs for every video that show the exact second we lose a viewer on every single video. See that blue line in the image above? That represents the attention span of the 60 million people that clicked on this video. It's crazy, but we can see exactly when every single person who clicked on this video clicks off. As with almost every video on YouTube, the first minute has the most lost go. Look, this is why we freak out so much about the first minute and go above and beyond to make it the best we freaking can. On this particular video, we lost 21 million viewers in the first minute of the video, which surprisingly compared to other channels is above average and could have been much worse. Let's say the start of the video wasn't well lit. I didn't match the expectations of the clickbait. I didn't pre-plan what I'd say. And we didn't front load some interesting stuff for the first minute of content. We would have lost much less than 21 million people because it wouldn't have even got 21 million views, LOL. But if the views were hypothetically fixed, then instead of still having 39 million viewers at the 1 minute mark, it would be more like 20 million viewers. The first minute of each video is the most important minute of each video. After the first minute of content, you will have what we call minutes 1 through 3. This is where you have to transition from hype to execution generally. Stop telling people what they will be watching and start showing them. An example of a 1 through 3 minute tactic we would use is crazy progression. Let's say we have a 10-minute video about a guy surviving weeks in the woods. Instead of making the first 3 minutes of the video about his first day and progressing from there like a logical filmmaker would, we try to cover multiple days in the first 3 minutes of the video so the viewer is now super invested in the story. They've seen this man survive multiple days in the woods and emotionally now want to see how much further he can go. We also want to do something around the 3-minute mark called a 3-minute re-engagement. A re-engagement can be described as content that is highly interesting, fits the story, and makes people genuinely impressed. Another way to look at this is it's a segment that only members can do. It's important to re-engage the viewer around this time because they could get bored of the story and click off. These re-engagements are usually spectacles and sometimes need lots of time and money to perfect. A good example of a re-engagement is when Carl was put in charge of watching Josh and the $10,000 Every Day You Survive prison video. Following the first minute, then minutes 1 through 3, is obviously what we call minute 3 through minute 6. And it is the next most important part of the video. This is where you plan out all the most exciting and interesting content that is also very simple. This includes lots of quick scene changes and highly stimulating, simple content that reflects the story. The goal is to make them fall in love with the story, the people in the video, and the overall video itself. If we can get them to watch the first half of the video, there's a very high chance they'll watch to the end. Usually at the 6-minute mark, we will include another re-engagement that is highly interesting but needs a little more explanation, and we'll push the story in the back half of the video. And lastly, we have what we call back half content. I have to be careful writing this because I don't want you to ever, for a second, think I am okay with content being subpar. Many videos have been killed because the back half of the content was ass LOL. But in general, once you have someone for 6 minutes, they are super invested in the story and probably in what I call a lull. A lull, they are watching the video without even realizing they are watching a video. Typically, the not as good content would be in the back half of the video. I don't ever signal the end of the video unless it's to build hype for the prize or payoff at the end of the video. This is also where long explanation bits can live, and if something unexpected happens or things don't go to plan, that can be turned into content. The above paragraphs are why you'll hear us ask what minute mark in the video you are working on. Whether it is production, creative, or editing, you must always know what minute mark the content you are working on is. If you don't, then you're not doing it right. I just whipped out a calculator and the combined seconds of content of our last 100 videos is 81,801 seconds, which divided by 100 means the average missed video is 818 seconds or 13 minutes and 37 seconds. Some are shorter, like when we do a real-time shoot or something more emotional and don't want it dragged out. And some are longer giant spectacles like giving away an island as an example, but 13 minutes is the average. And you are expected to know when producing which minute of that 13 minutes you are working on. And since we're on the topic of retention graphs, here's a cool visual. The last of the 3 trackable metrics that matters to virality is AVP. And to be honest, this doesn't matter as much to you. Usually the length of the video will be decided by me or Tyler. I just need you to make people watch as long as possible. Another non-trackable thing about virality I'd like you to know is what we call the wow factor, and it's definitely the most subjective. You can check all the above boxes for TriNav, but the video could still perform A for us. An example of the wow factor would be our 100 days in the circle video. We offered someone $500,000 if they could live in a circle in a field for 100 days. And instead of starting with his house in the circle that he would live in, we bring it in on a crane 30 seconds into the video. Why? Because who the fuck else on YouTube can do that? LOL. The fact that we lifted a house on a crane didn't add anything to the title and thumbnail. It obviously hooked the viewers and helped retention, but there are millions of ways we could have done that easier. It's arguably, from a data standpoint, illogical and a waste of time, but the impression it leaves on the viewer is invaluable for us. Anytime we do something that no other creator can do, that separates us in their mind and makes our videos more special to them. It changes how they see us, and it makes them watch more videos and engage more with the brand. You can't track the wow factor, but I can describe it. Anything that no other YouTuber can do. And it's important we never lose our wow. Chapter 2, creating content. For this next part, I want to write about actually creating content. I'm not going to talk about any production system in particular because the way we run this production changes almost every year, haha. I just want to pass on things I see new people typically fail at, and in general, what I want. Our videos are hard, and if you took the difficulty of our videos and trended it over time, you'd see they are only getting harder. This is why I want the best in the world and people who are obsessed. If you're not growing, eventually the difficulties of the videos will outgrow you, whether it be production, creative, camera, editing. I want you to be obsessed with YouTube. Get rid of Netflix and Hulu and watch tons of YouTube. It will, without a doubt in my mind, make you more successful here. The more invested you are in our world on YouTube, the more you'll understand trends, how we can stand out and be more original, what we could do better, etc., etc. You should also really try to watch every MrBeast video on all the channels. Sounds obvious, but I've asked multiple people this week what they thought about last week's gaming video, and not a single person had seen it. On top of learning from watching YouTube, I'd love for you to read the goal if you haven't already. I used to make everyone read it. I know bottlenecks are obvious, and it will sound like I'm talking to 10-year-olds sometimes. But just not knowing and understanding something as simple as bottlenecks has messed up tons of videos. You all should deeply understand the workflow from when a video hits the calendar to when it is filmed. I don't have the best track record of making the video filming calendar super far out and sticking with it. Let's say you're in production, and a video you're assigned to is put up 45 days out. A lot of things need to happen before you can start working on it. The big things would probably be you need a thumbnail, sketch, and creative on your team to write the video. Do you not just go to them and say, I need creative, let me know when it's done, and I need a thumbnail, let me know when it's done. This is what most people do. And it's one of the reasons why we fail so much. I want you to look them in the eyes and tell them they are the bottleneck, and take it a step further and explain why they are the bottleneck so you both are on the same page. Tyler, you are my bottleneck. I have 45 days to make this video happen, and I cannot begin to work on it until I know what the contents of the video are. I need you to confirm you understand this is important, and we need to set a date on when the creative will be done. Now, this person, who also has tons of stuff going on, is aware of how important this discussion is, and you guys can prioritize it accordingly. Now, let's say Tyler and you agree it will be done in 5 days. You don't get to set a reminder for 5 days and not talk to him for 5 days. Every single day, you must check in on Tyler and make sure he is still on track to hit the target date. I want fewer excuses in this company. Take ownership and don't give your project a chance to fail. Dumping your bottleneck on someone and then just walking away until it's done is lazy, and it gives room for error. I want you to have a mindset that God himself couldn't stop you from making this video on time. Check in daily, leave no room for error. For this next part, I just want to brain dump about random things and explain why we do say certain things. If you understand all of this, then you'll be in a good spot. Like, seriously, these are cheat codes and you should take them to heart. Video everything. I really want us to see producing as a team job, not a solo thing, which is why it's important you video everything critical and also anything you think people would ask about. Let's say you go to scout a set for a video in a month while the rest of your team is working on this week's video. Most people just go to scout the set, maybe grab a photo, and walk around and try to grab a good mental model of it. Then a week later, when you're back, this video is now Tyler's main focus, and he starts asking questions about the set, and you can't quite recall. The questions get more and more detailed, and all you have to go off of is what's in your mind. The rest of your production team also needs to start planning bits, but they don't know what it looks like. And it's a shit show. This is why we say video everything. Which is more important, that one person has a good mental grip of something, or that their entire team of 10 people has a good mental grip on something? Obviously the team. And the easiest way to bring your team up to the same page is to freaking video everything and store it where they can constantly reference it. A lot of problems can be solved if we just video sets and ask for videos when ordering things. Especially because I personally am a visual guy and I always ask to see what things look like. So even for me, videos are valuable. Video everything. Say the negatives. Title says it all. Don't just tell people on your team or me why something is good. It's infinitely more valuable to tell us why it's not good. I found the castle we need for the video, but it's booked all year, over budget, and someone died in it last week. It's your fault. Track the contractor. I know I already talked about this, but if there is one thing I'd really love to impose on you from all this writing, it's that you can't just dump and forget your projects. I can't stand when people dump and forget their project on a contractor and then the day before the shoot blame them when it's not ready. That's on you, not the contractor. Let's say we are building the world's largest water balloon, and you need someone to make a giant wooden stand for it to sit on. Most people here would just call someone like JB and have him do it and tell him to be done by filming day. Instead, you should really have it done a certain time frame in advance. You need to use your own intelligence based on the project to determine that in case something is off, so we can make changes. And you need to then decide whether or not it's a critical component. If it is, you should also begin working on a backup. And while working on a backup, you should check in with JB every single day. Ask him to send videos every day, spot problems early. Hell, maybe talk to him twice a day. I don't care, just don't leave room for error. No excuses, stop leaving room for error. Check in daily, receive videos, and know weeks in advance if you're screwed, not days. I'm not always right. Shocker, I know, I'm young, and I'll be the first to admit I'm not perfect. I promise not a single person on this planet wants us to succeed more than I do. And no matter how much you work, you'll never invest more time into this company than I will. But I can't promise I'll always be right. Having said that, there are ways you can help me be right more often. For starters, you need to understand the world I'm in and how my mind works. This book in particular is for our production company, which, by the way, is the most important company and allows everything else to succeed without the videos. Everything else dies, but it's not all I have going on. I have to be the main talent for every gaming video, every Reacts video, every philanthropy video, every TikTok, Insta post, and every main channel video, which is basically 3 full-time jobs all by itself. Little things like sending videos to people for birthdays, attending events, networking, etc. all add up because I'm the face of the channel. On top of being the main talent, I have to work with each channel to make sure the creatives are always evolving and not getting stale, and in general be a visionary for them. Basically running 4 channels at a high level better than anyone else in the world can run one. We also have a Beast Burger and Feastables, and I still have to set the vision and be the lead creative. On top of that, we dub our channels in other languages, and we run a translation company that works with other channels as well. I also, multiple times a week, have to call other YouTubers and see what they're testing doing so I can always stay up to date and make sure we aren't missing anything. Aka, you need me networking a lot. What I'm trying to say is I have to run 4 channels, 3 businesses, a charity, and network, maintain our image all at the same time. So when you need something from me, you have to understand that I'm probably not as knowledgeable about a video as you. Whatever you don't tell me, I don't know. When getting an answer from me, it's ideal you do the research and come to me with context and options. Instead of saying, in a coming up video, we are giving away a car. What do you think of this Lexus? It's only $10,000, which is how 99% of questions are asked toward me. Do this instead. We have a coming up would you rather video. One of the bits at the 6 to 9 minute mark, we will be giving away a car. We are still on budget, and the budget for this car is $10,000. I checked with PM. It could go up another $5,000 if you really want it. I searched all of NC for cool cars around that price point. And here are 5 I found that I got pre-approved by Creative, all on budget. I also got 5 other backup options that are less cool, looking and more average if you're going for that. Here is a picture of all 10 cars, the miles on the cars, and all the information you'd want. Which of these cars do you think is best, or should I get other options? If you want to look like you're doing your job and don't care about the success of the video, ask me questions like the first example. If you want to take accountability and make your videos happen with a higher probability of success, do the second option. This doesn't just apply to me, it applies to anyone high up you expect to make a decision. Communication lines. It's very important as a company that we maintain proper communication lines, both on set and off set. There's always someone responsible for everything on the video, and if multiple people are responsible for the same thing, then that's a problem and needs to be fixed immediately. Ideally, when communicating across departments, you go up and then over. If you skip and just go below, you must call and let the people in charge know. Let's say you're a production coordinator and you call a writer to tell them you need some bits about a sandwich being cooked with lava. Seems harmless, right? Except now Tyler, head of creative, has no idea what his writer is working on. And worse, doesn't know that's an option when he directs the video. Well, head of production also has no idea this has been set into motion. And when planning and tracking the progress of the video, he doesn't know to account for this. Will later finds out about it and assumes Tyler approved the bit, so he starts planning how to make lava, wasting 3 days in the process. Then Tyler catches wind of it. Asks Will why she's making lava, and she has no idea. Everyone is confused. This is what happens when you don't follow proper communication lines. If Tyler and Allie had been called first when the bit was requested, days of work and confusion could have been avoided. It seems simple, but this happens dozens of times a week and causes tons of double and triple work. Creativity saves money. It's no surprise that we don't have unlimited money here. We can't have every video constantly going over budget because the money has to come from somewhere. But you're in a tough spot because I constantly want better and better videos. A lot of people here have definitely thought, if Jimmy wants us to stay on budget, why does he keep asking us to do so many expensive things, or I know Jimmy won't like this? So I need to spend more money. People always assume money is the answer. But if we just spend more money, we won't always get what Jimmy wants. That's wrong. Creativity is the answer. Here's an example I use with our gaming team all the time. They love to give away money in every video, but what sounds cooler as a prize for a gaming video $20,000, or a year's supply of Doritos. To me, Doritos is funnier, and I think our audience would find it hilarious. Let's define a year's supply of Doritos as 5 packs a day for 365 days. That's 1,825 packs of Doritos. And a quick Google search shows you can buy a pack for less than $1. But let's round up and say $1 per pack. So our prize for the video just went from $20,000 down to $1,825 because we didn't just throw money at the problem, we used creativity. This applies to everything you do, whether it's finding a crane for a video, deciding prizes, picking locations, or handling the smallest detail. Use creativity to save money. Every dollar we save allows me to give you guys more stability and hire more people to make your life easier. If you want to succeed here, say this 10 times in your head: creativity saves money. Always have a backup day. No one will ever have a 100% success rate when it comes to filming our videos on time and on budget. It's impossible. But you can do certain things to increase the probability of success. And one of the easiest but most overlooked things is having a backup day. When you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars securing a set, renting a tank, etc., make sure you have the ability to extend them in case something goes wrong. It might not even be your video. Something could go wrong on gaming, and I might need to slide your video a day to make up for it. I'd rather have a hypothetical 90% cool looking tank with a dope owner who makes life easier for us, lets me do whatever I want, and has the flexibility to add a day, than a 100% cool looking tank with an owner who micromanages everything and no backup day. Always check with creative before doing something like this, but backup days are necessary. Ideally, we work with people who see the value in us and love us, so they're even more flexible. Don't take anything at face value, always dig. A common theme you'll see here is accountability. I don't take anything at face value. Always dig. This is especially important when dealing with people outside MrBeast Productions. If someone says something that seems too good to be true, find out why. If it sounds fishy, investigate. For example, if you need 10,000 pillows by next week and 10 pillow companies tell you they only have a few hundred in stock, but the 11th company magically has 10,000, investigate. Are they drop shipping? Are the pillows low quality? Why does no one else want their pillows? Push and get answers. What tends to happen is that people think their job is done by finding the 10,000 pillows and just ordering them. Then we find out there are problems with them when they arrive, but it's too close to the filming window to fix it. Don't overly trust people outside the company. Investigate and verify what they say, or it's your fault. If they don't deliver, higher form of communication. If you spend any amount of time with James, you'll hear him talk about the higher forms of communication a lot, and for good reason. It's important but often overlooked. The worst thing you can do when you need something for a critical component is to send an email. The best thing to do is talk to them in real life. It's crucial to know when to call people, grab them in real life, or text them. The lower the form of communication, the more miscommunication you'll face. As I'm typing this, you have no idea if I'm laughing, smiling, happy, mad, or sad. You can't read my body language or face, so it's not guaranteed you'll understand what I'm conveying. Need more toilet paper in the bathroom? A text is probably fine. 1 week out from a video and something important just went wrong. At a minimum, you should have a multi-way call with the heads of the video. Ideally, grab them in real life if you can. The more complex the situation, the higher the form of communication you should use. Call first, then text if they don't answer. On the topic of communication, written communication doesn't count as communication unless they confirm they've read it. Own your mistakes. I hate excuses, and I despise when people try to save face instead of learning from their mistakes. Mistakes are okay. Genuinely, they are, and I expect you to make a lot. That's fine. Every veteran here has cost me $1 million at one point or another, and you can go ask them yourself if I've ever held it over their heads. The reason I'm okay with screw-ups is that I know that's how you learn. I see it as me investing in you and your brain. That's why I have zero tolerance for C players. They must go immediately, because those mistakes could be done by an A player who will retain the information learned. I just beg you to learn from every mistake and try not to repeat them. That's when it gets annoying. I've never once fired someone on the spot for messing up. You have nothing to be afraid of. Own your mistakes so we can address how to fix them and move on. Nothing comes before your prios. When you're assigned tasks, you should have what we call a PRI list. If Ali says your priorities are to get a Lamborghini under $200,000, get it wrapped in anime characters, make a custom steering wheel, then nothing on this planet is allowed to come between you and getting those priorities done. If the other team asks for your help and you spend 2 days helping them and fall behind on securing your Lamborghini, that's your fault. If the studio is burning down and you stop working to put out the fire and don't get the Lamborghini, that's also your fault. Just kidding, but seriously, don't let anything come before your priorities. Use consultants. Consultants are literally cheat codes, need to make the world's largest slice of cake. Start by calling the person who made the previous world's largest slice of cake. He's already done countless tests and can save you weeks of work. I really want to emphasize this because I'm a massive believer in consultants. After almost a decade of obsessing over YouTube, I can show a new creator how to go from 100 subscribers to 10,000 in a month. On their own, it would take them years to do it. Consultants are a gift, please take advantage of them. In every task assigned to you, always ask yourself if you can find a consultant to help you. Repeat this 3 times in your head. I will always check for consultants when I'm assigned a task. Math, science, vision, approvals, budget. Everything you need can be solved by one of these 5 things: math, science, vision, approvals, or budget. No does not mean no. When dealing with people outside MrBeast Productions, never take a no at face value. If we need a store to buy everything inside and you call the local Dollar Tree and the person answers, no, you can't film here, that doesn't mean anything. Talk to other employees and see if any are fans or if they have kids who are fans. Try talking to their boss's boss, or have me DM them on Twitter. If after exhausting all avenues you are left with a no, don't stop trying the other Dollar Trees. The managers there could be huge fans willing to bend the rules. This is what we call pushing through no. Don't just stop because one person told you no. Stop only when all conceivable options are exhausted. This approach, combined with others, dramatically improves your probability of success in production. Work on multiple videos every day. Please do not come in and only work on one video during a workday. That's how you fall behind on future videos and create a cycle I'm trying to stop. If you drop everything and go all in on a video for 3 days, that's 3 days your other videos will fall behind. Eventually, you'll have to drop other videos to focus on those, and it will snowball into a situation where you can't do anything but focus on what's right in front of you because you've killed any lead time you had. If you ever only work on one video in a day, you failed as a MrBeast employee. Be able to hold a camera. Everyone has their roles in the company. And honestly, if you can consistently lead and produce videos for me with a 90% success rate, I don't care if you make mistakes. But it would be nice if at some point you receive training on our style of holding a camera. When we do a big shoot that's not local, it'd be great not to have to bring a ton of production and camera crew. If only a few scenes need extra cameramen, I'd prefer to have a few people from production or creative help out instead of flying in more camera operators, because typically the more cameramen we have, the less important each shot becomes. 1 out of 10 good, 10 out of 10 bad. YouTube has a feature that compares a new upload's performance to the previous 9 videos and tells you how the views rank in the first hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and so on. So if you hear someone ask what a video was out of 10, this is what they are asking for. Random things you should know. I'm almost done with this chapter, and then we can move on to creative, but before we do, I still have tons of notes around producing content that I can't really break into their own sections. So I want to rapid fire them here so you at least hear them once before starting your journey. Do not leave contestants waiting in the sun, ideally waiting in general for more than 3 hours. Squid Game, it cost us $500,000 in boys vs girls. It got a lot of people out. Ask James to know more. Spectacles are videos that only the MrBeast channel can do. Not every video should be a spectacle, and we realize these videos are hard, but that's the point. I hate having tons of people on set. If someone is necessary, then that's fine, but if not, kick them off set or go have them watch from behind a monitor. Create an environment where the contestants also feel natural. I'd rather you be honest with each other than nice to each other. Do not talk down to talent or do anything to make them feel like shit. I need them to be happy and in good moods, and those boys are special to me. Ideally, most talks with talent Chris, Carl, Chandler, Nolan go through me, Ali, or Tyler to avoid confusion amongst them. Me like simple. The simpler, the better. Apply with a grain of salt. We pivot a lot. Be ready to have everything flipped on its head at a moment's notice. LOL. I want money spent to be shown on camera, ideally. If you're spending over $10,000 on something and it won't be shown on camera, seriously think about it. Work with intensity. Push outwards, not inwards. Pull all-nighters weeks before the shoot so you don't have to days before the shoot. If something goes wrong on shoot, always check to see if it can be made into content. A tree falls over on your car and breaks the 100 vases we needed to give away. That's fucking hilarious, and we should mention IT in the video. LOL. Feasibility is working to see if the critical components of a video are actually possible. An example would be if I wanted to play hide and seek in the world's largest building. If you did feasibility on this, that basically means you're trying to see if it's possible to get that building. If you do, then we have a video and it should go into production. If you can't, then that's why it was in feasibility, so no one else wasted time. You never do anything that could make us look bad from a PRI perspective. We often do renderings of sets to see what they look like beforehand, which is amazing and helps a lot because I'm very visual and it gets the whole team on the same page. When doing these renders though, I want to make sure you know the difference between a previs and a concept. Please do not refer to a render as a pre-5A unless that is actually what we plan on building. If it's just a render for inspiration and is not building locked, call it a concept. This will greatly help with confusion in my opinion. Many people waver on a concept but call it a previs, and people see it expecting that to be what's built, only to find out later that it was a concept and the actual set is much different. Chapter 3. Creative. We are a creative first production company because when creative leads the vision of the shoot, the product is always better. So I think it's important you all understand creative. It is what drives everything we do and is the heart of our content. Being creative and understanding what makes good content is like cheat codes when in production, camera, and obviously editing. Let's take production, for example. Let's say you're tasked with finding us a castle to live in for 50 hours. And while doing research, you find a castle and a number to call for the owner. So you do call and he answers. The only problem is he says he quit the castle renting business to pursue his dream of building a 100-foot tall Lego catapult. You can obviously tell where I'm going with this. Ideally, you'd recognize that's badass as fuck and try to convince him to let us use it when we do find a castle. This is a bad example because it's so obvious, but if you're doing your job right, you will be doing an absurd amount of calls and data collecting. While trying to complete your priorities and prepare for the video, you should always be on the lookout for new things you can bring to your creative team to inspire them, because just like me, they don't know what they don't know. And you can't just say, I'm in production and I'm not very creative, because that's literally the equivalent of saying I suck at what I do. You also need to apply this same mindset when problem solving, because many people lose sight of this stuff when in the weeds. If a problem appears, always ask yourself if your new plan is what's best for creative, not just the easiest band-aid. What is the goal of our content? To excite me. The goal of our content is to excite me. That may sound weird to some of you, especially if you're new, but to me, it's what's most important. If I'm not excited to get in front of that camera and film the video, it's just simply not going to happen. I'm not fake and I will be authentic. That's partly why the channel does so well. And if I'm not excited by the video, we're fucked. Luckily, I'd say I'm a pretty predictable guy, at least in this regard. Haha. What excites me is what I believe will make the audience happy. That's what it always has been and always will be. I'm willing to count to 100,000, bury myself alive, or walk a marathon in the world's largest pair of shoes if I must. I just want to do what makes me happy and ultimately the viewers happy. This channel is my baby, and I've given up my life for it. I'm so emotionally connected to it that it's sad, lol. But this is the one thing I will never compromise on. I have zero issues throwing away a multi-million-dollar video if I don't think it's up to my standards and is good for the audience. We must always be improving and innovating. The camera angles need to always get better. The pacing, the story, the jokes, the color, the lighting, the music, the props, the people, our framing, our ideas, literally everything must always be improving and innovating, because that is what excites me. That's literally what I live for, to see these videos get better and better and ultimately make the viewers happy. What makes good content? This is where things get subjective, and my brain is probably going to turn into mush. The problem with what I'm writing here is that good content is limitless. Literally anything can make good content. Let's take a baby doll, for example. You can see who can throw it the farthest with their left hand out of a group of 5 people. Watching them throw a baby doll with their bad hand and funny sound effects is fucking hilarious. You can also go the opposite route and have 1,000 baby dolls and see how many it takes for someone to throw it in a crib 200 feet away. Or you can see how many baby dolls it would take to break a 2x4 in half. The point I'm trying to convey here is that even something as simple as a baby doll has an infinite amount of ways you can turn it into amazing, original. That's one of the secret weapons of MrBeast Productions. We aren't stuck in any old ways of thinking, and you can literally turn anything into content. Good content can be anything. Always have an open mind and never stop innovating. Having said that, this is YouTube and there are constraints. You know the video can't be a minute, so you're obviously going to need a story to hold the viewers, and there are rules to storytelling. Our audience is massive, and because of that, you have to be simple. For 50 million people to understand something, it must be simple. Content can be anything, but there is structure and rules that we must mold it into that I want to teach you about, because virality doesn't just happen. Every frame of our videos will be seen by tens of millions of people. How to measure the success of content. Like I said at the start of this, the metrics you care about in regards to virality are TRI, AVD, and AVP. If you want to know if the contents of a video are good, just look at the AVD and AVP of a video after we upload it. Based on how long people watch and what percentage of the video they watch, you can clearly see if they enjoyed it. To show this in action, below is the retention data for 2 separate videos of almost identical length from the channel. All AVD and AVP data I share will be first day data to make it apples to apples. If you don't know what this means, that's okay. It's mostly in case Mussy gets his hands on this haha. One video has 120 million views and the other only 45 million. Look at these retention numbers and see if you can pick which one got triple the views. The answer is the lower image. People on average watch this video a minute and 8 seconds longer than the other video of the same length. Of course, IT got triple the views. It's clear for YouTube that people like this video much more. For your videos to do well, you must get their AVD and AVP as high as possible. The longer people watch, the better video will do. This is why I'm such a stickler about every single second of content. Hook people at the start of the video, transition them to an amazing story that they're invested in, have no dull moments, and then have a satisfying payoff at the end of the video with an abrupt ending. Formats. One way to boost retention on a video is to have a good format for the video to follow. Let's use our popular Last to Leave series as an example. These videos have many reasons why they do well, but one in particular is the payoff at the end. Once you start watching a Last to Leave, you get invested in the progress and the challenge. You really want to see who leaves the circle last and wins the $100,000. Luckily, the winner isn't revealed until the end of the video, so as long as we don't make the video boring as hell, people are very likely to stick around until the end. Strong payoffs at the end of videos boost attention, but obviously Last to Leave isn't our only format. Another example of a format is what I like to call stair-stepping. A good example of this is I bought the world's largest firework. This video opens with us showing all the fireworks and then lighting a $1 firework, then a $10, then $50, then $375, then $1,000, then $10,000, then we did some content, then $40,000, $100,000, and then the world record. As you get deeper into the video, the stakes get higher. The payoff of the world record is at the end, and it's such a beautiful format that allows you to deviate if you want, as long as things progressively get cooler. I fucking love stair-stepping. Another format would be the ones where I get chased, like by bounty hunters, military, FBI. Just like the Last to Leave challenges, you don't know until the end of the video what the result is. Will they catch me? Will I get away? Gotta watch until the end. Throughout the history of this channel, we've been through many formats. A big one back in the day was donating to Twitch streamers and people love them. I'd go into random streams and donate $10,000 to a streamer to see how they'd react. All in all, we did like 12 of them, and when I stopped, people still begged for more. That's because, like Steve Jobs says, people don't know what they want. The viewer may think they want a format forever, but they don't. They want new and fresh things. This is evident because every channel that rehashes formats for years always dies. This is why I'm constantly ditching formats in exchange for new ones. Ideally, 2 videos from the same format are not back to back. I'd like multiple different videos in between them if possible. Who is our audience? Here are screenshots from the backend. Europe is a big percent, but it's broken up into countries, so it doesn't seem like it. Our content is consumed by everyone at this point. Kids watch the videos with their mom, even though our female viewership is only 30%. That's still 9-figure views a month from women. And it's worldwide, but not too worldwide. Minus 50% is still America and Europe. But despite saying all that, at its core, if I had to describe it, I'd say the average MrBeast viewer is a teenage member that likes video games. You should watch our videos. If you're going to be working for the Beast brand, you should be a fan of the Beast brand. A lot of very valuable knowledge comes with watching vast amounts of our videos. I feel silly for having to write this, but all the time I talk to new people that have at most seen like 5 or 6 of our videos, and it's mind-blowing that they don't see a problem with that, LOL. As I said earlier, I'd love for you to watch all the channels, but especially the main channel, seeing how you're working on it. To get 60% up to speed, I'd watch our last 50-ish videos. If you're a monster and really want to understand the history of the company and the innovations we've been through, I'd recommend you watch every video back until you hit the 10 million subscriber special. Anything before that is a waste of time, in my opinion. If you've seen every video we've made since 10 mil, then you will have a lot of context and information others don't, and it will make you that much more valuable. Brand deals are content. If you watch a lot of YouTube, you'll probably notice that when someone does a brand deal, it's boring and sounds like they're reading a script. We take a different approach to brand deals. We like to integrate them into the content so it doesn't nuke our retention and boost conversion. Remember that I told you we could see the exact moment when viewers click off our videos? Here is a retention chart for when we used to do brand deals the old way. Notice the crater where the brand deal is. That means people skipped it and also clicked off the video. Now here's a retention chart with the new style brand deal in it. The dip is way less dramatic, and for the most part, it's something I can live with to help fund the videos. Brand deals are content. And when treated as such, it boosts retention. We need to make them entertaining. Also, fun fact, the last CEO that sponsored a video said that the return was 1.7x the return they get on an NFL championship game ad. He said with an NFL commercial, you get a giant spike of customers on day 1, and then it disappears forever after that, whereas with a brand deal with us, you get a huge spike for a few days, and then it settles down, and then a respike when we upload again, because after they watch the new video, they go back and watch the video before it. And even after that, our videos typically get 1 million views a month for years. Tons of residual customers. Understand culture? What you consume on social media when you watch YouTube, TV, the games you play, etc. are what I like to call your information diet. Chris Tyson, our first subscriber and the guy in the videos, is a wonderful example of an information diet being used to perfection. The dude is funny as fuck. I've never met anyone in my entire life that can make people laugh like he can, and I never understood why he was so good at it until I lived with him for a few years. The dude watches an obscene amount of cartoons and stupid shit. His eyeballs exist to inhale copious amounts of just goofy, dumb, and brain-numbing content. As a result, he can quote almost any line from any episode of SpongeBob. He's able to draw from so much stupid shit in his head as inspiration to make jokes and be quirky. As a result, he is fucking hilarious. But let's imagine a different Chris, let's say instead of cartoons and stupid shit, his information diet was stocks and investing advice, and for 5 years, that's all he consumed. Do you think he'd be just as funny as he currently is? No, he, in my opinion, wouldn't even be 20% as funny. If you're a writer or director, you really need to monitor and perfect your information diet. If your diet is not correct, you won't have a good pulse on culture. I don't want you to be a Chris. In fact, I think that would probably do you harm. Talent needs to inhale cartoons so they can be funny. Writers need to inhale inspiration. Let's say there's a purple fruit in the middle of Australia that when eaten makes you 2 feet taller. If it truly did exist, you wouldn't have known that until just right now. But now that you know of it, you can draw on it for inspiration for every piece of content you write going forward. That's beautiful. It can now sit in the back of your mind waiting for that one video where it is needed. It might take 10 videos or even 100, but eventually you'll be brainstorming a bit and think of the right one to use the fruit for. Apply this to everything on this fucking planet. You can't get inspired by things you don't know exist. So how do you learn more about what's out there in the world? How do you stay up to date on the latest memes? How do you know what's going on with celebrities? What's trending on YouTube? What other creators are doing? What's popping on TikTok? Your information diet. Consume things on a daily basis that help you write better content.
It's okay for the boys to be childish.
If talent wants to draw a dick on the whiteboard in the video or do something stupid, let them assuming they know all the risks and aren't missing context on why it's not safe. People like when we are in our natural element of stupidity. Really do everything you can to empower the boys when filming and help them make content. Help them be idiots. We don't fake things. Make sure to prep contestants and try to create an environment where they feel comfortable talking. If you wrote a banger piece of content, but it is a 50/50 chance of working, write another piece of content. Content is unlimited. Don't be lazy. Run your content by as many people as possible for inspiration on how you could make it even better. I want famous people in our videos. Don't ever put me in a situation where I have to lie, because I won't, and it will screw the video. No dull moments in videos. You can't fake intensity in videos. The video endings must always be abrupt to protect retention. This isn't really a creative thing, but in general, when on set, be attentive and engaged. Filming days are stressful enough. Be useful, please. Chapter 4, your career. If you've made it this far, you are probably at least semi-interested in this being your career. So I wanted to chat about it because if you're ambitious and want to dedicate your life to work, you pick the best company in America to do it at. I really don't care to hoard a bunch of money, and I deeply believe in rewarding the people that help this business get where it needs to be. But before I get into that, let's talk about the future. As I write this, we have 2 teams, and that will grow to 4 in the next year and possibly 8 in the next 2 years. But I can't talk about that because James will kill me, haha. We need more leaders in the company. We need hardworking, obsessive, coachable, intelligent grinders that can step up and take some of these leadership spots over the next 2 years. Every single department has an opportunity for you to grow in, and you're in luck because we don't do yearly reviews. We do whenever the fuck you want reviews. If you want to become a production manager, tell James your intention and ask him why you suck and how you can become better. Seriously. He will give you a list of things that you need to improve to become what we need. And if you actually listen and master those things, we will give you a shot at the role. The only problem is most people think they are better than they really are and don't take it seriously when we give them things to improve. And then wonder why they never move up. This isn't a bureaucratic corporate company. You don't have to do something for 5 years to get a promotion. I hate the word promotion. The more responsibility and risk you help us navigate. And the more overall bullshit you deal with, the more you make. And if you want more of that, we will gladly help train you to receive it. Haha. There is infinite room for you to grow here. This isn't a stepping stone. This is your final destination. We will win, and we are going to build something amazing. I see a world where this company is worth billions and one day tens of billions. And those of you that help build this will be rewarded. I want nothing more than for you to go all in, obsess all day, every day, and become so goddamn valuable that this company can't operate without you. And in return for becoming so valuable, I hope to give you incredible experiences, a fun place to work, and of course, more money than you could ever dream of making at any other company. Now, read this all over again because I guarantee you didn't retain enough.
Essay broadcasting by Play AI. Find your voice,